Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. Critically harsh reviews with a touch of class.
And go.
And welcome to this mild interruption to our top 25. Because as we were putting it together, we realized that this is technically our 200th official episode, for which we could not let pass by without some sort of celebration. This is Jerry, by the way.
This is Gabi, host of Board Game Snobs. Also with us,
Enrique. Hello.
Hello. Hello there.
Normally, we do something very special for these episodes that end in a number that is round. Unfortunately, we were unable to cobble anything together for our 200th episode. You think we would have thought further ahead. We asked Bubba to come on, for which he did not.
He's not here.
Because he is a mercenary or a superhero.
In the fields of Guatemala right now, no doubt.
Or something. He may literally be the ghost of Kiev.
He might be hunting for Putin.
That would explain why he's able to travel so fast.
Or knowing Bubba, he misunderstands and he's hunting for pudding. That's how he is. You expect one thing from Bubba, then oftentimes he just blows your mind at his complete misunderstanding of what you actually said.
I wouldn't say
Often
that.
occurs in board gaming when he completely misunderstands a rule.
He does misunderstand.
A critical rule.
Yes, it's generally very something critical, which is very odd because he's...
Oh, I thought I got to count victory points every time.
Yeah, something like that. Which we are all one to talk because we just got through playing Libertalia wrong, so it's okay. But I will say it has a horrible rule book. Are
we going to talk about Libertalia or just mention that in passing?
I just mentioned in passing. We'll talk about it again later once we let it simmer a little bit. Because this episode, like I said, is special. It's our 200th episode.
I mean, it's only special in that we're saying it's special.
It's numerically special.
But in fact, it's really not going to be that different than any other episode.
Well, every episode.
We had plans on it being different. We were going to have Bubba here. We were going to have him do his new Bubba top 5. But we are going to have Enrique do his top 5 games.
Which he has prepared extensively for.
I like how you're trying to play that off.
He's been preparing for several minutes.
Yes.
Several
seconds, more like it.
And I gave him my phone with my stats. I'm like, these are the game you've played.
And you know how much I had to go through and just try to remember the stuff that we played all over the years.
Because all that's on your mind right now is Elden Ring, and you can't wait to get back.
I actually finished that.
You finished Elden Ring?
Yeah, like 200 hours in, and I finally finished it.
Was that 4 days for you?
No, it was probably 3 weeks.
Scale of 1 to 10.
You know how long it would take most people to play a 200-hour game? A year.
Yeah, basically.
You did it in 2 weeks?
Yeah, basically.
That's either impressive or sad.
Well, if you don't shower.
Well, I'm not gonna lie.
Please don't lie.
I mainly
I do not appreciate
goofed around the game, just doing a bunch of PvP stuff. It's just
What's PvP? What's PvP?
Player versus
That's what
player.
you smoke to get extremely high. PvP.
That's PCP.
PCP? What?
No, that's what you use to hook up plumbing to your toilet.
That's PVC.
I thought that's private first class.
That's PVT. PFC, actually.
PFC.
We're here to talk about
I thought that's when you fight with no gloves on.
Listen, you got to stop. Because we're not, that's UFC. And I'm going to keep this up. So stop, because you know how I am about acronyms. I'm not pro acronyms.
Wait, what do you have against acronyms?
Okay, here's what I hate about acronyms.
I love acronyms. In fact, the other day I was on a podcast with some friends and we talked about peace and tranquility. I call it P&T.
See, look, but
I ain't got time for all them syllables.
No, but
I like how we're going to get an extensive talk about
acronyms. I just don't like the fact that everybody decides, when text messages, that really upsets me.
Saves time.
No, it upsets me. I understand that some of it is necessary, but some of these on Reddit or other websites where they're utilizing this text as messaging verbiage, I don't know what they're talking about.
Like today, I said, what's your ETA? I didn't have to sit there and spell out, what time do you think you'll be here about? ETA, everybody knows that.
I know, but those types of abbreviations are
necessary.
fine. They're fine. I don't mind them. I don't like it when people try to abbreviate everything. They come up with
it's
weird
more like
stuff.
they're trying to make it more of a general use.
It's not cool. I don't like it when people speak in acronyms. I have been in the medical field for 20 years. I rarely, like you see on the American shows when they're rushing people through the hallway and they're always spouting off all these various types of acronyms. No.
But it saves time because lives are at stake.
No, everybody.
We don't have time.
Everybody who's ever
I don't have time for you to say cubic centimeters. CC.
No. Listen. Anybody who's ever been to an emergency room knows nobody's rushing very fast.
Stat.
Nobody says stat. That's not a thing.
What does stat even stand for?
No, it doesn't stand for anything. It's not an acronym.
It's not.
Nope, it's not.
Get here. Statistics. I thought it was like short for statistics. Like they need the statistics of what's going on.
It's a made-up term to make people look stupid when they use it. Start yelling stats.
Get here. Stats.
So is this the banter?
Well, here's the thing. I had posted because I actually expected. You know what? I really thought Bubba was going to be here.
Bubba let you down.
So, I posted, and I was like, we're recording episode 200. If y'all have any questions, all these things. And several people replied, and I thank you for that. Sam Rulo wants Enrique to finally conclude an episode without being interrupted. I mean, if we do that, we have to end the show.
That's not going to happen.
If that's going to be a thing, that's going to have to be a special case.
Dave,
it's just a thing.
I don't know how you say your last name, Dave. It's Brajcki. Brajki?
Balanco?
Brajki. He wants Bubba's current top 5. Guess what? Bubba's not here.
We asked him to come. He did not.
Edrill Crow. I'm just going to call you Ed. Ed Crow. Top 5 banter segments. I that's going to require too much research. I ain't got time for that. I can't go back. I'm the only one that would even bother doing it. Nobody else would. So that's just not going to happen. Enrique's Bubba Top 5, as well as Bubba's Michael Vanoy. Enrique's Bubba Top 5, I can pretty much do because we just played Libertalia. That's the last game played. What's your favorite movie, Enrique?
Oh, man. It's like you're trying to hit me with all the just...
Pretty Woman.
I would actually have to think upon that
Still
one.
Magnolia. Something weird. Something Julia Roberts related, no doubt. Shall we dance? No, that's not Julia Roberts, but that is Richard Gere from Pretty Woman.
Favorite movie, huh? You're going to have to come back.
We'll come back to you. Go ahead on that.
David Allen asked, please ask Jerry his top 5 historical figures he'd like to play games with. I didn't see this question before. Gobby, top 5 fictional characters you'd like to play games with, and time permitting, which games? Okay, time's not permitting. Jerry, your top 5 historical figures you'd like to play games with.
Oh, man, on the spot, Lincoln, number 1, because I'm currently listening to a book about Lincoln's speeches. He was a great speechwriter, and I find him to be rather interesting.
He liked talking about scores of games, 4 scores.
Yes.
I'm so embarrassed.
Fun fact. Lincoln drove his business partner and his lawyer partners crazy because he always read out loud. He would not read silently.
He didn't know how to read without moving his lips.
No, he just did it for practice. So he'd be in his office and just read everything out loud. And I guess it also helped him retain information. So Lincoln.
Okay, that's 1. Lincoln.
That's Lincoln. Of course, Horatio Nelson, just because I'm big into the, maritime admiralty thing. Nautical. Another historical figure. Let's see. Boy, that's hard. I mean, of course, if you're thinking of somebody all the greats, you want to have Alexander the Great.
Are the earphones hurting your ears?
No, I'm trying to think favorite movies. So I'm
He'd take the headphones off. He's really thinking deeply.
He's tuning you out, basically.
That's okay.
Although he can still hear you because he's sitting right next to you.
Yeah, but this kind of
it's much more pronounced.
So, the reason we have headphones is to discourage people from talking over each other, which that doesn't work
help me.
because Gobby can't hear.
No, I'm deaf.
Those are the top 3 I can think of.
Did you say Alexander?
Mm-hmm. Hamilton and great. Let's throw
what about Bell?
No.
You're like, hit me up.
No, I don't.
Can you hear me now?
No, I don't like him.
Okay, so fictional characters. I mean,
fictional characters.
But he asked me for my top 5 fictional characters because he clearly knows that I don't know anything about history.
I can name those for you. The dude off The Expanse.
No.
Yes, you'd love him.
Which one?
Amos.
Oh, I do love Amos.
You love Amos.
Oh, he would, but he doesn't have the patience for a board game.
Well, Amos would play a board game.
And if I beat him, I'd be afraid he would shoot me or punch me in the face.
Mal off of Firefly.
Well, you're doing quite well. Who
let's
else
see.
would be my top 5? Han Solo, William Shatner. I mean, Captain Kirk.
Stop, because you have to have space for Dominic Toretto. And there you go.
Done. That's my perfect top 5
Right there.
in games. I don't know. Mason Pierce says
You should play Family Feud.
the
whole time. You get all the answers right every time. Family.
Mason Pierce says, I have a lot of questions. Number 1, how dare you?
We do.
Luke Holt says, Luke Holt, not Lou Colt. Luke Holt says, I'd love to hear what each of your favorite episode you've done was. I don't know that might be proper English. It just sounds
weird. Holt or all Luke.
Your favorite episode you've done was. Done was. What's the favorite one I've done was?
I really liked the Jag episode. That was a good one. The Snake Rectum one was good. The Enya one was really the one that turned us around. That's like in the 20s.
We turn out so much gold. It's hard to just pick one. I mean, we're just. I mean, if people,
it's effortless.
If the world is effortless. I mean, I'm quite fond of the one where in the first part we're doing an Australian Darth Sidious, and in the next part we're talking about depression.
Yes, pretty much any episode. Which you edit out a lot of the yelling and the crying, but that's every episode.
Nobody wants to hear
Nobody
that.
wants to hear that. So yeah, that's.
And Ryan Maxwell, he wanted to have our wives come on. And it's just not.
There you go.
Gina has she texted me just now and said, "Please take me out
to eat,
or maybe just."
I would hope so.
No,
hire an assassin.
You tell her. I'm sorry, Gina. She starts.
You asked for this.
It's her or me.
Eric Shear asked this question. I'm not quite sure where he was going, but is it wrong to make the game room look like the inside of a PC gamer rig?
You keep putting all your pictures of this room up, and this is a very interesting room.
It's my eclectic room. I have things of which I'm fond of, I like lights.
Twitch streamer. It's got a lot of...
Of course, we'll go ahead.
I like good lighting in a board game room, but it's...
Well, I have lights for the gaming part because I light this place up.
Yeah.
To the point where sometimes it gets warm in here.
It does.
And then I also have lights for when I video game. I like to turn out the lights and just have my PC gamer rig lighting. And I like it. I don't know, it just sets the mood for me. And Dan Hughes said, really excited to hear your final episode. So... there we go.
Well, you never know when that might be.
So episode 200, we weren't going to make a big deal of this one because it was just 150 that was the really nice one where people like sent in voicemails and we had Bubba on. It was 3 hours long. We fought about the quintessential. That was an amazing episode. That was a good episode.
I don't remember anything about that episode.
You were drinking whiskey, not a 5% beer.
I don't remember that episode.
That was a good one. But 200, we're just going to basically acknowledge that we've done 200 episodes. Big deal. You know what? Big deal. This is my thing. September will be when we have done this for 5 years together. It's our anniversary. I have made reservations at the best Pizza Hut in town. I'm going to get a limo. And me and Enrique and Jerry are going to hop in and enjoy the ride.
Well,
That'll be a treat.
It will be a treat. I love Pizza Hut cheese sticks.
what?
Yeah, the Pizza Hut cheese sticks, they're really good.
I don't have another option around here.
They're all right.
We're all right. I was going to Bubba of course, Bubba being Bubba, he was supposed to be here. He's also
Just let us down.
finishing up our Patreon, which we were going to announce on our 200th episode.
Apparently, it's not done.
It's not done yet, but hopefully by the time this is up, it will be done. So maybe then the Patreon, if you want to support us, you can. That money will go towards buying.
You can fund our next trip to BGG.
Which we are going to spring.
BGG
here.
Spring, if you're going, let us know.
May 27th, I think.
Email us at boardgamesnobs@gmail.com.
Right. Also, get us another laptop. What this laptop's about had it.
It's just about on its last
But
leg.
that's all right. So
every time I fire it up and it's super slow, I'm like, come on, baby. One more time.
it growls. It growls an awful lot. But Enrique's not going to BGG this year.
No,
You're going to Barbosa? Barcelona.
That's the guy
Brazil?
that was a pirate.
No, you're not going to Brazil.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Brazil.
What was
You
it?
don't even know where you're going.
I had it in mind, and then I had to say Brazil.
I've been giving him a hard time. Belize.
There we go.
He's going to go visit his uncle.
Do you
in-
believe in life after love?
That was so cheap, but it was just slightly funny.
It's there. It's right there.
That's nothing you could do about that. You could have left it alone, but that's fine. He's going to Belize, unfortunately, during the time that we will be at BGG.
Yes.
So he
go
will not
visit
be
my
present.
uncle.
Bubba's going, hopefully.
To Belize?
No, to BGG.
That'd be awkward.
You're like, Bubba, what are you doing here?
Just show up.
And he's like, I got some wet works going on.
The ghost of Belize.
It's like, is this another one of your travels, Bubba?
So that's a thing. Hopefully the Patreon will be up. If you want to give us your money, please do. Or
We
don't.
need all the money you can give us.
Of course. We'll turn you upside down.
We
Give
haven't
us-
bought board games in quite some time.
Give us your pocket change.
Although I did buy Libertalia
But this is not a board game podcast,
against
right?
Jerry's wishes.
Yeah, Libertalia, we played it. It's interesting. I need to play it again
We'll
before we
discuss it.
formulate our thoughts.
Yeah, because we like jacked it up like first time.
A little bit. A little bit.
It's not like a little bit. It was kind of a major thing.
A few critical rules we got wrong.
Right. I was going to read an email because of
Wow.
some recent things that had taken place in. I know you have a podcast regarding film. Do you know about Bruce Willis, right?
I do know Bruce and his recently stepping back due to, is it aphasia or asphasia?
Well, Tyler from Chicagoland wrote us here, actually just today. And, you know, Tyler is an actual SLP, which is an acronym I don't mind using.
Slap.
It's a
Tyler slaps.
it's a speech therapist. I think the actual term is-
Speech linguistics practicer.
That's exactly what that stands for. It's a speech language pathologist. Okay, so there you go. See, okay. Anyway, so he wrote this because he's a very lengthy email because he's somewhat irritated about the media portraying Bruce Willis as just having as aphasia. So, anyways, he goes on, Tyler does, about how aphasia is defined by the National Institute of Health. It's a condition that occurs following damage to portions of the brain that controls language abilities. These areas control auditory he's going on. He is very extensive in his writings regarding aphasia. He says, when the media describes Bruce Willis as having been diagnosed with aphasia, this is only part of the picture, as aphasia is typically a symptom of some sort of brain damage. Aphasia can be caused by multiple things, chiefly among them are stroke, traumatic brain injury, brain tumors, cancer, or types of dementia.
When they were saying that, I was wondering if maybe he had suffered a stroke or something and like just maybe didn't know it or it wasn't published or something.
There's a type of dementia called the frontotemporal dementia, sometimes called FTD. This is the most common form of dementia among younger adults, like Mr. Willis, who is 67 years old. There are two subtypes, one of which is called primary progressive aphasia, which is also called PPA. We love acronyms. This is...
Peppa Pig.
Don't make fun of this now. You're going to upset Bruce.
Oh.
If I were to guess what Bruce Willis has, and are likely why people are just calling it aphasia, it is also why I'm frustrated with the media calling it aphasia, because it might make people think that aphasia is a degenerative brain disease, which it is not. It is also annoying to me because FTD and PPA are things that deserve more media attention. They are particularly vicious degenerative brain disease that can completely change someone's personality, cause memory loss and cognitive impairment. I know the pains of this firsthand as it is currently happening to my father. My dad was diagnosed with FTA, primary progressive aphasia, in November of 2018. He says he's seen his dad's language abilities and cognitive skills gradually deteriorate, and frankly, it's been really hard. He displayed some symptoms in the years beforehand, including some memory impairment, impulsivity, and impaired reasoning. You might be thinking he's likely to have you as a son because you and your wife are both speech therapists. I was a speech therapist too. But this has been both a blessing and a curse since I have a professional experience with how to help him and educate him and my mom about the ways to help him, but providing speech therapy to family and friends creates numerous ethical dilemmas. Anyway, you slice it, watching your parent degenerate at a relatively young age, 64 in this case, is quite tragic regardless of your profession. So yeah, this is something that goes around a lot. And I think it's also, whenever any time a celebrity has some sort of issue like that, it's an easy way to raise awareness. And it's also kind of frustrating when that happens because sometimes the media just portrays it as one thing when really you don't really... You have to skirt this line of breaching somebody's privacy or raising awareness about a disease process, I guess. So I feel sorry for that, for Bruce Willis because, I mean...
So what is it then? Is it brain damage that affects your speech?
Well, there's
due to a stroke or something?
Oh, it could, well, that's the thing, is that aphasias, there's several, I think there's like 3 different types of aphasia, if I'm not mistaken. But the causes of it, it's generally a symptom of something greater. So just having aphasia doesn't necessarily mean that you have, degenerative, dementia, cancer, something of that nature. But in Bruce Willis' case, that may be the actual issue. He may be deteriorating greatly, and that almost a terminal condition, so to speak. Something greatly debilitating.
Sucks.
So it's like somebody saying, "Oh, I've got the flu," and then well,
it's kind of like this is an example of it being done on a much lighter scale. When people, it irritates me when people say, "Oh, I have migraines."
Mm-hmm. No, but
and they don't. They have headaches that hurt maybe kind of bad. It's not a migraine.
No.
Now, migraines do have a scale that I know some aren't as bad as other, but my mother had migraines where we would have to take her to the ER and she would have to get Demerol shots.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd be out for weeks after that shot. I mean, I can see the frustration. It's like, oh yeah, I have this too, but like, no, you don't, and you're not really. That's kind of like the same thing I'm kind of thinking of there,
right? Yeah, and I mean that is a common thing. People say migraines, and migraines are they're awful.
I mean, usually if you have a migraine, like I get bad headaches, and I'm prone to it because my mother has them. R.I.P. Mom. My mother had them.
She didn't die from the migraines, by the way. We're keeping this.
And my brother has them.
Right.
But I can tell you the 2 times I've had a migraine, because the first time I was like 12 years old and stayed home from school throwing up all day. And the other time I went to the ER because I couldn't get rid of it. And I was just absolutely awful. So when people say, I have a migraine, and they're like going shopping, I'm like, no, you do not. You're irritating me. So I could sense the frustration. Luke Holt.
That was Tyler from Chicagoland. You got them
I'm
all mixed
so
up.
Embarrassed.
This is what happened.
I just rattled off like 10 different names. So
that's okay.
Tyler from Chicagoland. And I'm sorry to hear about your father, and hang in there. And, most of us that get around this age, I don't know how old Tyler is, but he sounds like a younger man. Of course, I'm 45, so I'm at the age where lots of folks are younger than me. And it's unfortunate.
Yes, you're coming to the end.
But I saw my mother kind of degrade over the years, unfortunately, and it does suck when you get to that age. But being in their 60s, like that's not that old. Especially being that I'm 45, 60's not that old.
You're getting there.
Oh,
but it's going to be hard to detect any issues that you might have, because most of some of the symptoms of some severe illnesses are just your personality, your complete forgetfulness. So it's like we just won't know. That's fine.
I literally forgot Tyler.
It's all right.
I called him Luke Holt.
Well, that's a good name.
Luke Holt.
Enrique.
Yes, sir.
Have you?
That'd be like a good cowboy name, Luke Holt. And you carry a Colt 45 on you, and you pull that real quick. And of course, it's ivory handled.
No,
you killed several elephants to get that.
No, pearl handled.
That's a lot of pearls.
Yeah, you don't kill. It's vegan.
You gotta kill
a vegan gun.
You gotta kill a lot of pearls.
You don't kill a lot of elephants. Enrique, your favorite movie, and why is it?
I have
Power Rangers.
And why is it? Well, no, what was it? Was this other one Metal Alchemist or something?
No.
Full Metal Jacket Alchemist.
I believe my older sister got me to watch this once.
Mean Girls.
No. It was Major Pain.
Oh.
I love Major Pain. It was a great.
That's not a.
It's not a movie.
Okay. To each their own.
It's better than nothing.
And
but that was more of
the great works of art that have been performed on cinema.
Marlon Wayans.
No, it's Damon.
Yeah, Damon.
Damon Wayans.
Damon Wayans.
And then another one was probably Catch Me If You Can.
That's a great show.
Now,
That's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
That's quite the wide swath you cut there.
What's an Oscar?
I'm thinking it's like, what was a good movie in general that just had like a nice plot to it, and the Catch Me If You Can was a good one.
Catch Me If You Can.
And now if I'm thinking like, what was the most hysterical thing I could think of right off the bat? And that was Major Pain.
Oh, well, I disagree there.
Like
but,
for me,
this is your list.
Like at a favorite movie where I would watch it on Days End, it would probably be Major Pain.
Watch it at a Days End, more like.
But it was still a good movie.
Even that joke wouldn't have made Major Pain cut.
Well,
Dumb and Dumber. If I want to choose my favorite comedy of all time, and it's the basest. It's the most base of comedies.
Based.
Dumb and Dumber is the height of comedy to me.
Oh God!
I can watch that and laugh every time, and it's just stupid, gross out humor. I mean, one of the biggest scenes is Jeff. What's his name? Who was in that? Jeff. Oh my God, Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, and he had like taken some X-Lax or something. He was on that toilet. I mean, that was hilarious. Give me some good bathroom humor, and I'm good to go. So I'm not gonna shoot down your Major Pain.
Like I understand, it's just not like for me, like just overall of where I could remember and just like come up with a spot.
Major Pain is funny.
It is a funny movie.
But I didn't expect that when we asked for your favorite movie of all time. I thought it might be like, Star Wars.
That's like a mainstream thing.
Marvel something.
If I was going to do mainstream, that would have been easy. But
so you went real retro.
Yeah, I went with
real obscure.
Yeah, I went with like, what's a good movie? Like an actual good movie that you don't see for a very long time.
Why don't you shut that window behind
That's a helicopter coming in.
There's a helicopter flying
There's a helicopter. This has been an active episode with your wife bursting in and now a helicopter.
Oh my God,
yeah, be sure and slam the window.
I'm sorry.
This is type.
No, this is like, there's
You think after 200 episodes
This is a car
and
wreck.
dozens of mini
train wreck.
episodes.
Car record? Why do they call it a train wreck?
Listen, 200
If something is bad.
Listen, 200 episodes, you think you'd learn not to interrupt a sentence. Much less. We're 200 episodes in. You got headphones.
Why do they call
Just
it a train
keep your
wreck?
mouth shut for a moment and let somebody fit. Oh, it's a train wreck.
What's the deal with a train wreck? Why not a car wreck?
Oh, my God. All right, here we go. What's your top 5? This is a board game podcast,
yeah,
isn't
this
it?
is a board game.
And we are actually interrupting
Hey,
our...
we've done said Libertalia.
No, we got to do...
Is it Talia or Talia? Libertalia al Ghul.
Libertalia? I think it's Libertalia.
I think it
Talia
is.
or Talia?
That's what we
You
just
can't
said.
even read. I love it when people
Be quiet.
repeat my jokes.
It's Libertalia or Libertalia? I don't know. Is it Libertalia?
I done told you once.
Oh, it's like over here. I'm
It's
not
okay.
gonna
Yeah,
grab
you
that.
can't see it. So let's do our
You need to lay
Enrique's.
hands on it.
Now, first of all, I'll touch on this later regarding our People's Choice Awards that's currently going on. We're collecting data for that, which I'm super excited about, and I want to talk about that later.
What a nerd.
It's very, very nice. I'm really enjoying it. So, what better candidate of just randomness than Enrique, whose opinions about board games are so crazy and so, I don't want to say unrefined, but
How dare you? This man has Major Pain as his favorite movie.
stochastic.
It's more of a like a inconsistent kind of thing.
Unconventional. Let's go
There you
unconventional.
go. So, your number 5 board game of all time, as he looks around the room, see which box he
I
can
thought
read.
you maybe wrote it down.
Well, no, I have it. It's just,
Okay.
Okay.
Western Legends.
Western
The Western
Legends.
Ledgers.
Ledgers?
Well, yes.
Legends.
Legends.
Western Legends.
Very nice. That's a sandbox game called Colossal Games.
It's a nice little party game that I could like hop in.
It's not really a party game, but
Might
it's
as
a
well play
cool-
Codenames.
It's mad. Well, it's
Y'all want to
good.
play Codenames or Western Legends? It's up to you.
Western Legends.
It would be Western Legends.
Western
It-
Legends.
It's just
I've got my chaps.
So Codenames is out, apparently, of his top 5.
It's a game that
Don't
you
give it
just-
away.
It's a game that you can just like say, hey, you want to play this, and just set it up easy, and then it's like a 5-minute introduction, and you're good to go. Like
Plus, do you want to be a cowboy, baby?
basically, it's just like
You want to be a cowboy.
It's like who doesn't want to be a cowboy?
Who's your favorite cowboy?
I would also have to think upon.
Have
that.
you ever watched a Western?
like the 1950s?
We've had
kinda-
this discussion.
It like a couple. I would have to like
I don't.
ask my father about all that.
Okay, so yeah.
Like, there's a couple I've watched. It's just I don't know the name of some of them.
Okay.
But we're going to let that slide.
Why is it when people talk about buttless chaps, there's no butt in the chaps? Why doesn't the less apply to other things? Why isn't it, instead of fat-free dressing, why isn't it fatless dressing?
Fatless dressing?
Yeah. Sugarless gum. Why is it, sometimes it's sugar-free or sugarless?
Well, here's the thing. I know this is my own weird...
It should be butt-free chaps.
When I think of something that's less, I think it's reduced. So when you say sugarless, I know people tend to think that that's like there's no sugar in it. That's sometimes not the case. I think that sugarless might be a more technical term to where you're not saying that there's sugar.
But if you're talking about a loveless marriage, you generally mean we've lost the feeling of love in our marriage.
Right. I know what the nomenclature of it is, but that it's, I think that technically it's not.
On a technical term of where it needs at least a little bit of sugar, or where it's like okay, but
sugar-free gum has 0 sugar in it.
Yeah, but like, does that really mean what that means?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know if it does.
Because then, if it had
nobody says
sugar,
I'm in a reduced love marriage.
I know, right?
It's the same. We incorporate less and free, but they both mean the same thing in most contexts. In our vernacular.
It's weird. I don't know.
Or our nomenclature.
We'll come back to that later.
We'll have to think on that. That's a good question. Enrique, as you stroke your Fu Manchu mustache.
Number 4 would be Die Macher.
Wow.
Even though it's a very dry game, it's a very, like, you have to
say wetless game.
Wetless game. But even though it's a very wetless game.
Moisture absent.
It is
moisture-free.
Moisture-free.
It kind of almost captures that political feel to it of where
of German politics, which you're an expert on. You got this.
But it's a nice game of where you have to anticipate
that's good
of what's going to happen, and then it's just like, because you guys
that's like going from Major Payne to Catch Me If You Can.
That's exactly what you expect from this list.
Western Legends to Die Macher.
Like, you guys watch
pretty much the same.
My first round just like be a complete flop, and then the second round it's like, oh god, what happened here? It's like the table's turned. But it's a nice little game, and I've loved it.
I like how you call it a nice little game, as if it's not 2 hours long of intense thinking.
It's not that hard.
It's more 2 and 3 hours long easily.
It's not like
Enrique. That game is tremendously difficult. Don't call it a nice little game. What are you talking about?
It's a light game.
For me, it was a light game.
A nice little filler game.
It was, for me, it was a nice little light game. It's like,
you're out of your mind. You told us you didn't even know what was going on the first couple rounds.
Which is why he didn't do anything.
And then as soon as I caught on, it was like, okay, I understand. It's not like a game of where I have to play it multiple times.
Wow.
It's like I understood
this.
Play that in between plays of Wingspan.
This list slaps.
Nice little breather game.
So far, I've been impressed. I'm impressed.
They're 2 good games.
I was weary about his list because last time it was pretty much trash up until the very last. But this is starting off good. This is starting off really good.
2 solid games. Go ahead.
All right, let's not mess this up.
Number 3.
Just give me a moment.
He's trying to remember. He's trying to rank them.
I told you to write it down.
No, it's fine.
Jerry said write it down like 3 times and you refused.
He doesn't write very well.
You kept saying, "You're not my dad. You're not my dad," and kept crying the whole time. Okay, and here we are.
No, I got it.
Long pause.
And then it would be London.
What? London?
Yeah, London.
The Martin Wallace game.
Yeah.
Continue to blow my, like, this is just coming out of left field.
Yes, this is nothing.
Coming out of left
I had Candyland as number 5.
I don't even think Enrique ain't played London in 7 years.
No, we played we played London here very recently. That's a great game.
It is a great game.
Why do you like it?
The management mainly.
The management of the peasants.
Yeah, basically.
And the poverty.
Because it's like...
Poverty shallow.
Like, oh, hey, it's like little black cubes, just like, okay, and it's like, this isn't too bad. And then it's like...
Here comes
another light game.
Another light game.
It took
a quick filler.
That took a little bit more time to understand, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Like, London took more than Die Macher?
It's difficult.
Gabi, I couldn't understand anything like for London for like a couple of games, and then I understood it. I'm ranking of this like the games of where it took me a while to understand.
This is perfection for you. This is what I completely expect. The unexpected.
But it was.
You know when they say expect the unexpected? Like, that's generally impossible. But if you're talking about a list from Enrique, I expect it to be unexpected. Like, I would have zero idea what he's going to pick.
So far, I've been wrong. I have a guess it is number 1, but that's it. So
I don't know. It may have changed.
you're number 2, sir.
Anachrony.
Okay, I've got you. That was the number 1. That was his number 1. Okay. We just got through playing Anachrony with like every single expansion.
Fractures of time.
Like with every expansion.
No, sadly, that was just one.
That was only one?
That was just one expansion, Fractures of Time.
It took us as long to put the game up as it did to play it.
Inserts.
So,
I mean, they put away nicely, but...
Insert your review here for Anachrony.
What is it you like about Anachrony? And did you enjoy Fractures of Time? And would you play with it every time? Or do you prefer base Anachrony?
The base game is probably still the same as my first one. The expansion, I would need to play again. Because anything that has like a new addition on the base game, I always take my time with. It's every time. It's just how I am. But for now, Anachrony's...
Fractures of Time, it is just fractures. Maybe it's multiple fractures. Fractures of Time adds this thing where it adds these flux resource where you can blink and you can move your mech from one spot on the board, the main board, to another spot on the main board, or there's another board. Basically, you can move the same mech twice now, which is a nice addition. I really enjoyed it.
It extends your player board and gives you more options. And which for a game that's already got a lot going on, this adds even more. So it is very tough. It's very tough. And it's one of those games that's on the edge for me now of, is the overhead, this includes setting it up and putting it away. Yes.
Is it worth it to break this game out? Now, granted, we did play this game for 3 hours. So it's like the gameplay, I mean, it took me 45 minutes to put it up and even longer to set it up.
I will say that Anachrony, I think my opinion of it is developed into a game that's more of an event game.
I agree.
So it's like...
I didn't realize it was so long to play.
Right. And so there's certain games that when I think about them, I lump the majority of games into this category. If this is a light game or this is a filler game, this is my medium heavyweight games that are, 2 hours long roundabout. But then there's games that are just, when you're done playing them, you are exhausted. And Anachrony has slowly, with all these expansions, has turned into an event game. And these event games I lop them in with like TI4 or perhaps even Eclipse or Rebellion, Star Wars Rebellion, games that typically are 2 hours or more, even Die Macher, and require intense attention and thought,
yes.
And you're tired with it by the time, and it takes the effort to put it up.
That's the brain burn.
Yes.
And you're exhausted afterwards.
Right. And so Anachrony, I must say...
So you might play just a quick filler when you're done, like Die Macher.
Correct. Oh, yes, of course. So Anachrony has slowly gone out of the category of just being a medium heavyweight game to me. With all these expansions, now it is an event game, which generally is just something we play once a year and then gripe about putting it away, and then but at the time, still very impressed with it. So,
would you rather play Eclipse or Anachrony?
Anachrony.
So, wait, no, Eclipse is not his number one.
Fired.
Okay, here we go. What is your number one? Do we need a drum roll?
Barrage.
No drum roll needed.
Would not.
Enrique is a hardcore player.
That is pretty. That
Those
list
are
is
like
pretty
4 hardcore games.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this like sandbox shoot 'em up game.
Okay.
It's like I
you could have had Pictionary in there. Might as well have.
I have gotten into games of where it doesn't hold my hand. It doesn't really teach me how to play the game. It just like shows me a couple of things, and then I figure it out on the way.
You do like heavy games. That's crazy.
It's just how it is. If you can explain something to me of a mechanic and I can recognize it, I'll play it and I'll love it, because it doesn't always tell me like, oh hey, you need to keep doing this, do this like every 5 seconds. It's boring.
So what's a game that just barely missed being in your top 5.
He doesn't do honorable mentions. He's like me. He's
I do.
decisive.
Yeah, it's just it's like if
What was it? No, you kept saying, I'm trying to think of what I can put in here. Da.
This list is tight.
Is there another one? Just give us one more that just you like it, but it didn't make it in.
So you can't even think of it.
it's just I had to like
Quit pressuring him. This is the five.
I'm sorry.
Some of us are decisive.
But Barrage, I love Barrage because like when we first played it, like with me and Jerry, it took us like three times to actually understand what we had to do. And even before that, there were some rules that we weren't even like completely like fully utilizing.
I'm so shocked by this list. I'm very, very shocked.
Anachrony has been usurped.
And Barrage is more fightative. Fightative?
That's a word.
Combative.
Combative.
There we go. With its
Combative.
with its dam making, and I love
How
that.
dare you cuss on this podcast?
But I love it just so much. It's just it especially with more players. Oh, it's so tight with more players.
This is
Yeah.
Okay. So just piggyback off this idea of ratings. So recently I've been utilizing the Board Game Geek analysis on BGG, being able to not only include various people who have asked to be, put their usernames in to this geek group, because we wanted to compile all the data from our listeners and be able to really do multiple things. One, see what our listeners' favorite games are, what games that they like to rank, and also be able to pick out some hidden gems, because I like to look at other people's opinions and see, are there particular games that I'm missing out on, or I haven't played. And
speaking of hidden gems, Jim E. Hoffa, nobody knows where he's hidden at.
I watched The Irishman. That's 3 hours long, and it heavily implies that Robert De Niro killed him.
But where is he at?
He's dead.
Where's the body?
Yeah, nobody knows. Like, they can't find half the bodies.
They think he's buried in the goalposts of New York Giants Stadium.
He could be, but that's another show for what's his name to make? Who made The Irishman? Scorsese. I always forget his name. Scorsese just makes one type of movie.
Yes, gangsta.
Why is that?
Well, he's good at it. He knows
I know
what he's doing.
good at it, but why do you think...
Is he closely related to the mob? Like, does he have ties? Like, I always wonder, like, he's very obsessed with making movies about the mob. They're all mob related.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
The Departed.
I would love...
Godfather. Goodfellas.
I'd love to see him make like a romantic comedy. Scorsese, just something to throw everybody off.
That's what I'm trying to think. Has he made, probably Aviator is like the closest thing to being off of not a mob movie.
He does period pieces of that time. Like, it's always kind of same.
The mob era?
Yeah, the roaring 20s type. It's interesting.
I think he's got connection.
I don't know. Are you going to end up getting us a horsehead milk?
Have you ever seen Heat? That had Al Pacino and De Niro?
The Michael Mann film Heat?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
No, the Melissa McCarthy one with Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock.
If it's Michael Mann, I've seen it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, yeah, Heat. Yeah. I love Heat.
Miami Vice?
Love it. It was greatly underrated.
Michael Mann Miami Vice?
Phil Collins is a gem.
Did they play that in that one? I'm sure they did.
If you don't feel it in the air tonight.
I do. I do feel it in the air right now.
You've upset me and you've thrown me off so much.
I did not upset you.
You're implying that Colin Farrell, because he has gone wild. Have you seen him as Penguin? FYI, I'm really looking forward to his Penguin movie, his Penguin series coming out. That's gonna slap. I know there's a joke.
Don't talk about slap. That just happened recently. Slap heard around the world.
Oh, nobody cares about that. Which is another thing.
Oh my God, here we go.
As somebody who's been assaulted at various and slapped, and I myself have been on the receiving end of a lot of abuse on this podcast, because you often you like to Chris Rock it up and yell at me and all that stuff. So I am very sympathetic.
Due to mental abuse on your part,
I'm very sympathetic about being the one that At the same time, I wouldn't slap you if you made fun of my baldness. I make fun of you being bald all the time. But you don't have alopecia. You have this baldness?
I don't know what I have. I just don't have hair.
No, you don't have alopecia though. That's different. That's like patch.
Oh, sorry.
That's like he cut off your mic because he blew away the audience. Alopecia is when just parts of your hair in certain areas fall off. It's like an autoimmune issue. It can be brought on by various things. And so like you can, I think there's even some dietary things that can cause it. Some medications.
Well, the world is choosing sides and I refuse to choose.
You're not pro Chris Rock or pro Will Smith?
No. You know what? There's bigger things happening in the world. I don't care.
Well, why'd you bring it up? I literally told you earlier with this waste of time, and then you brought it up. Like,
well, we went from talk about Michael Mann. You were acting like I was insulting Michael Mann movies, and I am not.
I thought you were.
Last of the Mohicans is one of my favorite movies of all time.
But no, you were implying that, like,
I did not
Miami
imply
Vice.
anything.
I'm just saying you were.
No, I was just curious because Miami Vice bombed. It wasn't it wasn't viewed as a great movie.
No. Why you keep doing this? Why you know exactly what set me off. You know that if a movie bombs, it doesn't mean anything about its quality. Like some of the greatest movies bomb. Like
West Side Story bombed tremendously. Absolutely beautiful.
And like Blade Runner 2049 bombed. Absolutely. Original Blade Runner bombed. Greatest movie. I mean, like there's just tons of movies that technically bomb or don't do very well in the box office that are awesome movies.
So is Michael Mann one of your favorite directors?
I like his style. He has a certain...
What is his style? Tell me, because I can't recognize it.
Okay, so like... when you think of like the cinematography of his films, they're always very stylish. And he doesn't use like the best cameras. They always seem like to be very grainy. He really does buy into the long shots of just music, the old-timey ways, like in the 90s, where they would just have people driving or doing something and just have the soundtrack in the background. Mm-hmm. He does that an awful lot. He does that in Heat, does it in everything.
That's Mohican's great soundtrack.
The shootout in Heat.
Yeah.
That is the sound to that scene, that is just an audiophile's dream. That is some realistic, he knew what he was going for and brought in people that knew what something should sound like, which what makes that scene just awesome.
Val Kilmer, great in that movie.
Val Kilmer, good to see him back in the trailer for Maverick. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that show. All right.
Love those pistols.
I love it because
finger guns.
I will say that trailer though, Top Gun is looking super cheesy. Like it. I'm pretty sure Enrique wrote the dialogue for that show.
I saw a poster of Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And this literally, like the first time I'm like, he's old.
He's getting there, but he's
like, I can see it on his face now.
He's already shot the other Mission Impossible.
He's been ageless for a long time.
He's getting there. There's going to be a time where he is old. He finally looks old. That's going to be devastating.
And it will, because that means we're old.
Well, no, it means that
because all the stars that like were big things when I was growing up, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Val Kilmer, they're all old.
They're getting there. But anyways, so yeah, so Michael Mann's like the way that he shoots his films, there's always his storytelling is always spot on. Like the way that he goes from A to B to C, and like he walks you down it. Like you're not gonna fall over trying to figure out what's going on. And again, the characters that he does, it's always very gritty, I guess is how I would call a Michael Mann film. All of it's always very gritty. When you watch the new Batman film, for those that don't realize, if you're in the movie theater and you're watching it, they use this certain type of lens on the cameras that cause the edges of the film to be blurry. The next time you watch, which you go back and watch it on DVD or whenever, you'll notice that the screen on the edges of the Batman are all very, very blurry. But in the middle, as you get close to the middle of the screen, they're much clearer. They use lower grade types of cameras and these types of lens so that it would force your eyes to the center of the screen. And I forget what they call those types of lenses. But that was
tilt shift.
But no, not tilt shift. No, it's a type of lens. That's a type of technique.
Oh.
I swear you don't pay attention. You ask these questions about cinematography and you don't even pay attention.
Well, I know that they use that tilt shift to, like, that's what that, when it's like everything's blurred out, but the center.
But no, this is a type of lens.
And then it's kind of like, I like that lens, like the beginning of the Sherlock Holmes series with Benedict, where it makes everything look like toys, it looks like little toy things, but it's like the lens makes it look like far off. But you know what I'm talking about?
You're talking about the intro?
Yeah.
Where everything's fast and it's pulled out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't try.
But it looks like toys, but it's real.
Oh, what you mean
I don't know
by
how to
toys?
describe it.
Oh, how to describe
I
it?
think it's a tilt shift lens.
It might be.
Zenovo lens?
Yeah. Blurry edges are often the result of Zenovo lenses not being accurately centered over the.
That's my TV, is Zenovio.
Well, that's an actual. That's a those Zenovo lenses though are actually a mistake. That's.
But when you do that on Instagram, like you tilt shift it, you blur out everything except whatever you want to focus on.
And if you don't do it right, then the bunny ears don't focus right.
That's right.
Anyways. Getting off of that, where was I? I can't remember now because we went to Michael Mann, Scorsese. What were we talking about? I was talking about ranking stuff, right?
Right. Geek Buddy.
Geek Buddy. So, number one, in the Facebook group and on our guild on BGG, you want to have your username with BGG added into the Geek Buddy analysis for our Like People's Choice Awards. Please send me an email, boardgamesnobs@gmail.com, or on the Facebook group or on the guild. We'll add you in. Reason this is very interesting is that, and before I get sidetracked off this, rank the games, please, according to how you feel about them in connection with the rating on BGG. So if you look at each little star rating through the 1 through 10, it will give you a description of what each ranking means. It seems like, just at glancing at the ratings, lots of people like lots of games. And it makes me wonder if people either don't understand the ratings or they're only ranking games that they really, really like.
Some of the people that I have discussed this with say they only play games that they generally know they're going to like or like. Because we had this discussion several times on the podcast before about me and you say, well, the general rating should be 5. Because it's average. So all of your ratings should average 5 because that's the average. But then people say, no, well, I know I do lots of research before I buy a game and I know that I'm going to like it. So therefore, I play mostly games I know are going to be a 7 or 8 or above. Whereas me and you, oftentimes we play games just because we're like, okay, people are playing this game. Let us play it. We don't really care for it. It's a 4. Or, you know what? It's average. And for us, average is 5. On BGG, 5 is not really the average. Like even on the words it says, it's like
mediocre.
Like 6 to me
is okay.
On BGG is okay, which is average to me. Like this, when I say this game's okay, I mean that's a 5 to me. So that's a little bit skewed.
You don't think that mediocre is the average?
No, to me, like 5 is okay. Like it's not bad, it's not good. It's okay.
Okay. Well, the definition of mediocre is of moderate quality, moderate being in the middle.
There you go, doing definitions.
Not very good. So it's
no, that's not what I'm saying though. I'm not saying it's not very good. I'm not saying it's not very bad. It's right the mediocre. Right.
Which mediocre? Yes, it's mediocre. It's right in the middle. I think people don't understand that's what that means. People think mediocre. They assume it. And a matter of fact, even here's a Common English dictionary. Some dictionaries accept the meaning of this word as medium or average. In fact, its connotations are almost always more negative. So when something is distinctly not as good as it could be, it's mediocre. So it depends.
Well, that's right.
So there's a lot of back and forth on that. But the term of it, when I think of a 5 or something being mediocre, I mean, it's fine.
When I think of a 5, I think of a game that if you suggest we play it, fine. If not, fine. On mine, my highest, the one I have given the most rankings to is a 6, just slightly above.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
just okay.
Me. That's okay.
That's I think the definition of
but
that.
But then you're kind of splitting hairs.
Well, no, I think people don't understand the rating system. I like when they think about it. Or maybe they do and they're only ranking games.
Well, I actually do like that BGG says it's okay and then it says whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I would play if brought up.
Right.
Whereas mediocre is like, I could take it or leave it. Like, I think that second edition is very helpful.
Yeah, it's trying to get you to understand what that rate is. I'm looking up so like a 6 is okay, we'll play if in the mood. 5 is take it or leave it, mediocre.
But that's what I'm saying. Those two are kind of cutting hairs to me. Splitting hairs, cutting hair, whatever, same thing. Because take it or leave it, or if I'm in the mood, well, depending on the mood I'm in, I could take it or leave it.
Okay, so here's the deal then. What would you rate a game that you don't really think is very good, but you could play it again?
A 5.
That's technically a 4 on BG by their definition.
See? Okay.
So yeah, so that's what I'm saying is that a 3 is bad. I likely won't play this game again. So I know a lot of games.
If I rate something a 4, I'm not looking to play it again. To me, that's what I'm saying. If it's below 5, I'm not looking to play it again.
Okay. But here's the thing though. You're illustrating my point. You are ranking it wrong. Rank it per this. You're making up your own definitions.
Well, when I
Just
read that, I rate it according to what they say.
I know.
Because I'm not looking at it, I can tell you what it's telling me.
Right. But that's what I think most people are doing, because most people, when they rank a game, they're thinking 7, 8, or 9, 10. I mean, all of them consistently are ranked. And maybe they could just be, and I think that's probably the case. They are just ranking games that they really like. Like, they're not thinking to go rank a game poorly.
But for a lot of people, just go 1s or 10s.
I know. That's another.
But that's what I'm like. I have some games that are 1s. Don't even talk to me about Star Trek Conflict.
Right.
But there are games like me and Sade we have a mini pod session recorded, put out sometime when there's a lull. Mandala Stones. It's super okay, kind of boring. To me, it's a 4.
Right. It's okay.
I will sell it ASAP, but it's not something that will, if like I went to a friend's house and they're like, I'm going to have you over to play this game with me, Mondo. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh my God, no, I refuse.
Right.
I'll play it. I'm not going to necessarily enjoy it. I'll be bored the whole time we play it, but I will play it. Whereas there's other games such as Star Trek Conflict, well, I'm like, no, I absolutely refuse to play that game because I hate it.
Okay. Well, I just think, and that's the interesting thing that I'm finding with these stats. And so basically, our top 25 will stretch all the way through April. And so that's probably as long as we're going to let everybody will have time to update and join the geek analysis thing. And so in May is when we'll actually look through and I'll run the numbers, and then we can kind of suss out all the game rankings, and I can kind of tabulate all the various votes. For instance, right now, and I think the group has about 140, 150 people in it. From the data that we've pulled so far, there's like about 7,400 games been rated, and the average first rating now, and mind you, this is collecting data from Board Game Geek, but I'm utilizing the Geek Group app. It's not an app, actually. It's a web-based website, a Geek Group. If you've never heard of it, it's amazing. It does all types of different tabulations and stats than Board Game Geek. But the average first rating for everybody in this group is a 6.9. Nice. But the average plays after that, on the second rating of a game, meaning that they've played the game more and went back and re-rated it, the second ratings average is 7.3. So that's really high. So it really seems like people are increasing games. So a matter of fact, out of the 7,000 games so far tabulated, over 600 increase in rank. The members go back 663 and they increase the rank of the game, whereas about 1,500 will decrease the rank. So it's very interesting. Kind of goes back and forth. So it's
these numbers are boring.
But it's interesting that people play stuff and go up and down. What do you mean it's boring?
We just got an email I think I need to read. Like, this just came in.
Okay.
From Lei Wang. Treat as immediate. Dear Mr. and or Mrs. Let me start by introducing myself. I am Lei Wang, Executive Director and Chief Financial Officer of Bank of China, in parentheses, Hong Kong. I will need you to assist me in executing this business project from Hong Kong to your country, 65 million United States dollars only in my branch. What does that mean? I don't know. Please endeavor to observe utmost discretion in all matters concerning this issue. If you are interested, please get back to me. Finally, after that, I shall provide you with more details of this operation. Kind regards, Lei Wang, guess what? Next year, we're going to Aircon.
Did that come to our email?
No, I don't know where that came to.
What came to your email? People are spamming you. This is why you...
No, this is legit. It's from Lei Wang.
I can't believe you don't like my stats. It's very interesting.
Stats are boring.
What's boring about them?
You were talking about 65.7%.
It's because you won't pay attention.
I tuned out because I got an email offering me $65 million.
If you would pay attention, you'd find them interesting.
Are you hearing me? $65 million. We can go to all the cons from here on out. I'm buying those Shure SMV 78s or whatever. They're like $400 microphones. We are set, guys. Lei Wang's bailing us out. No, close down the Patreon. We don't need it. Lei Wang's got our back. I need a reply, Mr. Wang.
Okay.
We are definitely interested in you executing this business project from Hong Kong.
Email him back. Let's see if he emails us back. Let's keep this going. We'll follow up on the next podcast. Email him. Let me have your phone. I'll email him.
Well, what happened to you? Did what's his name ever respond to you from Little Rock? The
No.
Avenger?
The Avenger? No, he did not.
I don't even forget his name.
I can't remember his name now. The superhero, the guy that was protecting. Yeah, no, he never did. Which is very sad.
If Lei Wang screws me, I'm going to get him on it.
I've messaged him.
He will avenge me
numerous times.
He will avenge me.
Well, that's going to conclude this episode.
Oh, this was a rousing 200th episode. Thanks a lot, Bubba.
4.5
for letting
years.
us down.
I know. You can't trust this guy. But if you're going to be at BGG Spring, give us a shout out. Let us know. Also, if there are any games that you would like for us to try out that you think are like hidden gems or you want our opinions on, we'll probably have better access to them at BGG, which is really what I'm looking forward to.
Enrique, any final words?
That sounds very violent.
Very
Final
violent.
words.
Final words.
I mean, for the episode.
Oh, it's like you're going to knock him off.
Oh, I was like,
I'm sorry.
I didn't,
Oh, did you tell him that-
I didn't say last words.
Scorsese.
oh yeah, we already covered why that won't be.
Yes,
be at-
you're going to be in Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil, Belize,
Belize.
Bangkok.
You're not
Bangkok.
Bangkok. I think that's where Lou Wang is at. He's at Bangkok.
We're having a bank off.
Good Lord.
But no, this was enjoyable. I always love doing the.
I'm glad you might come back.
I might come back.
Thanks for coming,
You might
Enrique.
come back. I'm glad you could.
I had a good time
Busy
here,
time.
fellows. Thanks for having me on.
Congratulations on that 200 hours. You're finally the eldest ring or whatever that is.
No, don't worry.
Now what are you going to do with your life?
I probably just like sulk.
Oh, okay.
What's the next big game coming out?
I don't know. It's just like that's probably like the only big game that was good for like this entire year. So sad.
That is sad. I know lots of people are into it.
But
Are you into that Horizon Forza West or whatever?
oh yeah, that's also a good game too.
Michael Langford's all into that.
Yeah,
Thinks it's the greatest game of all time.
it's
Okay, so
story-wise.
Elden Ring or Forza West,
like-
Horizon.
Like difficult, like just like gameplay wise, I'd rather play Elden Ring.
Okay. Well, there you go, Michael. Frack your stupid game. That's what Enrique
hot
said.
Like,
takes.
if I want like a story based game, it'd be Forbidden West.
Forbidden West. I've been saying all that wrong.
It's just like that's how it is. If I wanted like they're both good games, I just like the gameplay better for
Why is the West forbidden? That's my question.
something about like some evil machine monster thing. It's like it's like hey,
You're just like, hey, you know what?
I don't know.
forbidden.
I don't know.
Just making up rules.
The East is
I
wide
haven't
open.
Like the parents.
I haven't finished it yet. I'll probably do that as soon as I get back home.
The East is
Shut
wide
up.
open.
The
Go to the
East is
East.
No, the East has already been explored.
forbidden.
The East is- yeah.
The West is forbidden.
But the-
East, you can all have at it.
The prequel, Welcoming East.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this mediocre 200th episode.
It was fine.
It was fine.
It's fine.
It was fine.
I liked
I give it a 5.
It's fine. It's fine.
I'd do it again. I could take it or leave it,
I
though.
could, yeah.
It's a fine for a 5.
If the microphones were hooked up, I'd do another one.
I'm Gobby, the host.
This is Jerry. Sorry.
This isn't.
Thank you for listening to the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.